in my circle? Who the one who be the snakes? Who gon' fold up under pressure? Who gon' understand the stakes? Who gon' wait to get their food to try to take from off my plate? Who to love? Who gon' understand I'm hurt? Who gon' love me unconditionally and try and make it work? Who gon' party once I'm gone and shed a tear once I'm in dirt? I ain't asking for too much, I'm trying to understand.
Welcome to the next episode of Give Me My Crown Podcast.
Give Me My Crown Podcast.
We back at you with another episode, back with season 3.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As y'all can see, we back together.
Yep, we back at it. We back in person. Like we told y'all before, y'all gonna be seeing a lot of in person. Y'all gonna be seeing a lot of virtual. Just however we can get it in.
That's right, man. It's different. It's a different year. Like it's about to be a different year, and we about to go up. So
yep,
stick with us.
And like we said, we're going to be coming at y'all with a lot of content, season 3. This episode, we're going to come at y'all with, of course, some financial literacy.
Man, and we've been doing some reading. I'm telling you, man, like we've been talking.
Yes.
Like, okay, before we get into it, we just went to a class this week to try to get some more knowledge on getting more financial free. But like these books we about to give y'all, going to be good.
Yes. And, like I said, just a lot of knowledge from the books, a lot of general knowledge and stuff we've been learning, stuff we trying to do, new heights we trying to get to. So, like we said, y'all stick with us, and we're trying to take y'all to new heights with us, trying to give y'all the knowledge that we got, just some stuff that we learned, trying to pass it along.
That's right. That's right. So you want to jump in first?
Yeah. So, been reading a lot of books, financial literacy, obviously, as my shirt says, financial literacy matters. Financial literacy is something in our community that we don't really dive into too much. We don't really, first of all, it's not taught in many schools. We don't learn it in the home growing up. So it's almost like you're on, not really on the back burner, but it's like you're trying to play catch up by the time you get to the point where you learn about it.
It's a reason why, though.
It is. Yeah, of course, there's a reason for everything.
Okay, all right.
But then there's also the point of like where we are now, like wanting to learn and reach that next level.
That's right. And let me say this before we really get started. Y'all can hear you may hear us thundering outside, but we're gonna keep going. This is not a way to give people an excuse not to be financially free and not to get better. Like, I'm gonna throw out some points off the book I read of reasons why, but you still gotta do it on your own. Nobody's gonna give you anything.
Yeah,
so you gotta go out and get it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like I said, we're gonna give y'all some points. We're gonna give y'all some of the history behind some of this stuff.
Yep.
But then stuff that we gotta do ourselves to make ourselves and our generation or the next generation better.
That's right. That's right.
So start off with the book that you read.
All right. So I read The Color of Money, and it's a long listen and it's a long read. I'm not going to lie. But the history of this goes back to like slavery, of some of the reasons why we are behind. Like we were talking yesterday when I was like, yo, when you do the research on FHA loans, how they got started. Like, they were not started to help black people or like people that are middle class. It was started to help white middle class and to segregate black and white families. The GI Bill.
Yeah.
Now, you military.
Yeah.
And when I heard it, I'm like, yo, even the military was holding us back. And then jumping into black banks, man, like the way black banks have failed because of the government.
And a lot of that goes into things you said, like with the FHA loan, stuff like that. A lot of that plays into redlining and stuff like that. It's on a different, I guess that's more on the real estate side.
That's right.
But it still plays into the same thing. The book I read was The Wake Up Call by Ash Cash.
Okay.
And he essentially goes over, he makes a lot of, in the book, he makes a lot of, he goes back a lot to Jay-Z's last album, 444.
Good album.
And he kind of talks about how if you actually listen to that album, there's a lot of financial literacy being explained in that album.
Okay.
And it's something that a lot of people don't listen to. But like I said, I went back and listened to the album myself, and just based off some of the quotes I heard from the book, when I heard the line, I'm like, that makes sense now.
Okay. I get it.
But a lot of like you said, a lot of stuff goes back to the history. A lot of times, like I said, we're you're at a point where you're trying to play catch up.
Yep.
But then it's like once you, how do I put it? Once you reach a point, it's like, all right, yes, we understand we had to play catch up.
Yeah.
But now we're at a point for the past, I don't know how many years, where it's been a point where we're not trying to play catch up anymore. It's at a point where we're trying to, first of all, you got to have the will to want to learn, and then you got to be taught the information also.
Taught or seek the information?
I think it's both.
Okay, because
You're not learning in schools.
I was just going to go there because we had to talk all the time about the information you're taught in school is not always the information that's going to help you succeed in life.
Yes, because like you said, like for instance, all the math classes, a lot of the stuff you learn from math classes can play a certain role into certain stuff, but then when it comes to taxes, things like that, you're not learning about all this stuff in school. Now, obviously, you're learning about percentages and stuff like that, so it plays a role into it.
Yeah.
But you're not learning about the actual. You're not learning about the way things work.
Yep. And one thing I learned in The Color of Money, man, was like, as a people, when we're talking wealth gap, we have the vision.
Yes.
But I call it being programmed. Like, a lot of people are programmed to think one way.
That's true. I 100% agree.
If somebody comes along with a vision to go another way, it's like, nah, that ain't the way we've been done it for 100 years. So
yes,
we can't go that way.
Yes, and I think that, and like you said, I think that's where the wealth gap comes in, because even now the gap seems to be getting larger and larger, and we have the same access now that everybody else does.
Yep.
So it's like, first of all, getting access to that knowledge, and then getting access to those programs, those things like that. And like I said, you have to want to get to do it.
Yep. And like, I equate it right now, right? So like the way my mind is thinking, and like, trust me, my mind be all over the place, like not sleeping a bunch, but it's like AI right now.
Yes.
I believe AI is where AOL was when the beginning of the internet.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
agree.
like, why not think now, like, how to improve AI, or what's the next step to try to get into the next investment wave, and not just like, oh, it's helping my life right now. Nah, how can I benefit off of AI?
That's true. That's true. Because like you said, AI is going to be the way of the future.
Yep.
So it's like, you gotta, if it's something that you can jump ahead on, especially in a financial sense, you can set yourself up for success. Now, one of the things I learned from the book is it's a quote from Warren Buffett, and it says, "Don't save what you have left after spending, spend what you have left after saving."
Good quote.
And the reason I agree with that is because, as you know, I'm a big financial guy.
That's right.
I got my own financial coaching business, things like that. And the way that quote reads, like, it depends on how you look into it. Some people may look into it like, oh, you don't want me to spend, you want me to pay my bills after I save. And it's not necessarily saying that.
That's right.
It's saying, put yourself aside a savings and investment, and then go spend your money. Like, don't go spend your money on stuff that's non-essential before you pay yourself, or before you invest in yourself. So before you go spend $600, $700, $800 on a car payment, which is crazy to me. But before you go do that, like, first of all, are you investing in yourself first, or are you paying that $800 car payment and then putting left what you have in savings? Rather than the opposite way around. Like, okay, this is how much I want to save. This is how much I want to invest. Let me do all this. Let me pay my essential bills first, and then when it's the wants that I have, not necessarily the needs, then spend the money on that stuff. Because I think once we get into that mindset, it's going to help. First of all, it's going to help close that wealth gap, and it's going to help create generational wealth.
And speaking on that, like, one thing in Color of Money, right? It was always somebody who came around that was black, who thought long term.
Yes.
If you're thinking about today, and don't get me wrong, like, I have a job and I believe in job security. I believe in moving up on your job. But at the same time, you are building wealth for someone else.
Yes.
Someone else's family. So you have to think outside the box, or use a proven system to build your wealth as well.
Yep, and that's just like Jamal King.
Yeah.
He used his 9-to-5 job to create wealth for himself
Yep.
and his family. So while he's still working his 9-to-5 over here, he's like, all right, well, I got to build something for myself.
Yeah.
So he became a millionaire while still working the 9-to-5
Yep.
and continued to do that to fund. He used his 9-to-5 to fund his own business.
Yeah.
And then he was able to quit that 9-to-5 and focus solely on his business.
Yep.
And so I think we need to do stuff like that. And once again, stuff like that comes into play when you have a budget, because
true.
with that budget, it allows you to physically, because if you're not physically looking at where your money is going, it's hard at that point to know exactly where it's going. Because I can say I'm spending $300 a month on eating out, but then you put it on paper, you're like, well, I really can't. I could take that $300 I'm spending eating out. What if I go down to $100 a month eating out because I'm eating out, but I'm also going grocery shopping, so
Yeah.
I'm double spending. Suppose I take that $300 down to $100, use that extra $200 and put it towards an investment or something else.
Yep.
So I think that's I think that's the mindset we need to get out of.
Yeah.
And it's another thing is also as far as like cars. You know, I'm into cars.
Yeah, yeah.
But my thing is you can have hobbies like that long as they're within your means.
Gotcha.
Because like, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that teach don't have a car payment, drive the raggediest car, you know, save
Yeah.
money, stuff like that. And to a certain extent, that makes sense.
It does.
To a certain extent.
Yeah.
But I'm like, there's also other people out there who have proven systems that show when you have nice stuff like that, it makes you want to work harder.
That's true.
It
That's
makes
true.
you want to keep up, because you always like, all right, well, if I could do this, I could do this.
Yep.
If I could do this, I could do that. And so it kind of makes you want to work harder and makes you want to get to that next level. Now, with that being said, you do have to do it within your means.
Yeah.
So that goes back to that first point we made.
Yep.
If you decide to go out and get that really nice car, sit down, do your budget, make sure you're investing in yourself first
Yes.
before you're buying that car.
Yeah.
Before you're spending money on that car, because that car, a lot of people say a car is a liability. A car can become an asset
That's right.
if you use it right.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure that you can afford what you're actually doing.
And another way it can become an asset. I was just thinking about this like this week, right? Like wrapping my car and getting like a check for it from like $600 a week.
Yeah, you can do that. You
Like
can do
it's
stuff like that.
ways you can make money off your car. You know?
Yes. And then it also goes back to, like, of course we want to look nice, we want to drive
Yeah,
nice,
yeah.
and doing certain jobs, you have to
Look yeah.
you have to look the part.
That's right.
For instance, if you're doing real estate, if you're doing something like that, you don't want to pull up in an old beat up car, because even if you're a financial
03
literacy,
Honda. You pull up in the 03
yes,
Honda, you know.
and yeah, at the end of the day, is there something wrong with that? No, not necessarily. But you want people to look at you and say, okay, like, especially for financial literacy guy, like, if it's all about perception.
Yeah.
If I pull up in a 2000 beat up Honda Accord, people gonna look at me like, why would I take financial advice from this guy?
Yeah.
And then, but on the other hand, you pull up in a Benz or something like that, people look at you different.
Yeah, that's true.
And like I said, with that being said, that doesn't mean go out and buy a Benz or a BMW or whatever. It means invest in yourself first and play with the rest of
Yes.
play with your money after you invest in yourself and pay all your bills. Don't do it the opposite way. Don't go out and buy your toys,
Yeah.
pay your bills, and then invest in yourself afterwards. That's how, like I said, that's how we fall for that pit trap.
That's true. That's true. So getting back to the books, quick thing. Where is most of the money at? What institutions, right?
Yeah.
How many? I'm just asking the question. You might not know the answer. What percentage of institutions, banks, major investment firms are black?
It's not many.
Yeah, I mean it's probably less than 1%.
Because if you look at it, a lot of times when we spend money, we're not spending in our own community.
That's true.
Now is there more
Go ahead.
stuff that plays into that?
Go ahead, break it.
Yes.
Step into it.
There's a lot. I seen a video the other day, and he made perfect sense.
Yeah.
Guy was like, he said, I'm a millionaire. I'm trying to teach you how to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
He said, but you're getting mad at what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Because the guy was like, hey, why don't you shop at why do you shop here and not here? Why don't you shop just black owned? Why do you shop everywhere else? And the guy looked at it, he said, customer service. He said, I want to go somewhere. He said, where I feel like I'm treated in a nice way. He said, I'm gonna be honest. He said, when I go to some of these black owned places, he said they don't have the best customer service.
Yeah.
And the lady came out and said, she said, well, when you go to a Chinese restaurant, how do you know they're giving you good customer service? He said, I don't know their culture, so I don't. He said, so I don't feel some type of way about it. And I'm like, and I thought about it. I said, well, I guess that makes sense. And he essentially said, I'm telling you, customer service
That's true.
is the number one thing that's going to improve your business.
Yeah.
He said, even if your product is not as good, he said, if you have the customer service, people will keep coming back and people will help you improve your product.
That's true.
So I think customer service is huge, and it allows us to, like I said, shop in our own community. A lot of times we don't like to shop in our own community because people want discounts, people want stuff free, which
true.
then makes us go somewhere else.
Also, I noticed in the book Color Money, we don't have a lot of black banks.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of black grocery stores or a lot of black pharmacies.
Yeah.
That's one of the things they put out. Like, if you look at all in history, everywhere that has a successful black community, they had those three things.
Yep. And like you said, once again, there's more. Everything we talk about is like is multiple reasons that play into why something is. Like we said, some people don't shop in their own community because they feel like they're owed a discount.
That's right. Yep.
Like if you got a business and I come to you, even though we've been boys for the past 30-some years.
Yep.
It's like, I don't expect a discount from you just because you're my boy. Like, because at the end of the day, I understand you're running a business. So my goal is to help you get to the next point of your business.
And we were just talking about that last night. Like, the whole point is to make sure all your boys are on, you know?
Yes.
I think when you get team mentality, you can go somewhere versus one person trying to get somewhere by themselves.
Yeah, they say you can go fast. You can go fast alone, but you can go far together.
Yep, that's true, man.
And the reason that makes sense is because, like, say I can go out here and do it myself. I can make $1 million in a year or two. You play the long game. You get a team together. You get multiple minds together. You could turn that $1 million into 20 million. It may take double the time, but you're stretching your money further and you got more minds going into it. So if it's something that doesn't make sense, instead of you making all the decisions, it becomes a mastermind at that point.
Let me ask you a question. Being a financial coach and being, you working on some other stuff, how do you change the mindset of people to think team oriented versus by themselves?
I don't know. That's hard because I don't know if you can change people's mindset. I think it becomes a thing where, because we talked about this in our friend group. We're like, hey, because Grant Cardone, 10X.
Yeah.
You take $1,000, double it 10 times, you got $1 million. $1 million. And we talked about, hey, let's get 10 people together. Let's throw in $100 a piece.
You take chances with that.
And take chances because for one, then we're risking $100 rather than $1,000.
Yep.
And we're still going to 10x our money. Of course, we're not going to turn that 100 into $1 million off bat. But if you 10x it the way he talks about, you turn that $100 into $100,000.
Yep.
And as a group, you're turning that 1,000 into $1 million.
Yep. And then you got different things. Hey, look, we're gonna all leave $500,000 there and do some investments.
Yes.
And you take $50,000 and that's your money.
Yes. And so it's like you gotta, by us getting in that, if you get in that team mindset, it changes the whole game. And it makes everything, like you said, first of all, it makes it a lot less stressful. You're taking a lot less risk because you're putting in less money. Yeah. So like if I'd say, hey, I want to make $1,000 investment, and it's just me and you going in, and I come to you and say, hey, let's do 500 a piece. We're taking less risk, but we still got the same amount being invested.
That's right. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I think events like Invest Fest are needed.
Yes.
Because it changes it may not change. It may not move the needle on the wealth gap.
Yes.
But it changes the mindset.
Yes.
For people.
And because I think
it can change your life too, though.
yes.
Yeah.
Because I think moving the needle on the wealth gap is good, is hard.
Yeah.
Because you're essentially trying to get everybody on the same page, but then when you got certain generations who have been living a certain way, that's all they know, that's all they see, and that's all they want to do. They don't want to do anything more. And then you got some of these you got these, like you said, these institutions coming in.
Yeah.
These institutions coming in, and they, how do I put it? They kind of hinder progression.
Yep.
Because obviously they want you to get that real nice car. They want you to get that house you can't afford. They want you to go into debt, because essentially debt is good for businesses.
Yeah. And I think even the training we took this weekend, it shifted my mindset, because it was like, if I invest like the institutions invest, I don't lose as much.
Exactly.
And I'm like, yo, we've been playing a game,
Yes.
it's a losing game, and you can get lucky. And we've been getting lucky versus anything else. But
yes,
they got a proven system.
A proven system, yes.
Goldman Sachs ain't losing.
Exactly. And that's like the guy said. He said you're gonna lose more than you win.
Yep.
But the goal is to make your wins bigger than your losses. What did he say? He said they lose 25% of the time, or they win 25% of the time.
No, 53%.
53% of the time.
In our mind, that's losing.
Yes, because say you put in. So how did they put it? Say you got investments in 4 different places. You're winning 2, you're losing 2. But essentially your two losses are really very small. Say you're losing $100 off these 2 losses, but on the wins you're winning $700.
Yep.
So it's essentially a numbers game, because you're, like you said, you're losing half the time.
Yep.
But you're but you're winning a whole lot more.
Yep.
In far as financial gains than what you're losing.
You think about the ratio you just gave, right? So I won $1,400. I lost $200. I profited $1,200.
Exactly.
Like, that's common sense, but we focus on the wins and losses.
Yep. And it's knowledge you got. It's like you said, it's knowledge out here, and it's and a lot of people may look at certain people and like, I don't want to tell you. I don't like. Some people say he don't look like I do, so I don't want that. But like you said, the guys we talked to yesterday, older white guys.
Yep.
They've been in corporate, and now they're running their own business, and they're essentially trying to teach us the way, like you said, the way the institutions do things. And I think that's needed 100%.
And I can see myself and the guy that was talking, like, he was talking about like, yo, I got the knowledge.
Yep.
But I'm taking risks. It's almost like I'm a junkie. I lose, and then I'm like, I need another fix.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, that's profound. That's you just guessing.
Yep.
I got the knowledge, but I ain't got the. What do you say? You gotta have the. It was 2 things you need to have. You can have the technical part, and it was some. What was the other? I can't remember.
Was it knowledge?
The technical and the knowledge. You gotta put both together. If you don't put both together, then it's not gonna work. And it's always been one without the other.
Yep, because like you said, they're talking about taking risks, because obviously any kind of investment is a risk.
Yep.
But they talk about calculating your risk and risk management. Like, take the risk, but know when to get out.
Yep.
Know when not to do what you don't need to do, and then get the knowledge from somebody that's smarter than you.
Yep.
Because like you said, their system is a proven system, and they've worked for these big corporations, these big institutions, and they've since quit those institutions, now running their own business, trying to feed knowledge back into the community, and we just need to listen.
Not only that, think about what the guy said. Technology pushed him out.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
You know, he was like, I was good at my job, but technology came in and pushed me out, so now I had to find another way to make money.
Yep. Yeah, because he worked for one of the major companies. And like you said, technology can then come in and do what he could do at a whole lot faster pace.
Yep.
So now he's out here trying to put the knowledge that he learned while there back into the community.
Yep. But I think one of the keys of the wealth gap is understanding ain't nothing free.
Yes, that's true.
Ain't nothing free.
Because, like you said, nothing's free. So you're going to pay for any knowledge you get. You're going to pay for it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing either, because obviously if I got the knowledge that I'm trying to teach somebody, it's only so much I can give you for free.
Yep.
And it's only so much I can do for you for free. But at some point, I got to know my worth.
Yep.
And we got to put that to, we got to take that into account, which is where we don't do a lot in our community.
We feel like because of history.
Yes.
A lot of people feel like we're owed something.
Yes.
And okay, going through the book, The Color of Money, I can see why.
Yeah.
It's been a lot put in place, and I'm not talking about 1800s. I'm talking about 1950, 1960, 1970. Like, we ain't too far removed from these years.
Yep.
Like, when we talk about the crime bill all the time in the 90s, like, it's stuff put in place to hold us back.
Yep. And it's a lot of stuff we need to. The one thing I read in my book, in order to close that wealth gap, or in order to decrease that wealth gap, is home ownership. They say home ownership is is key to creating that generational wealth. And one thing I read in the book, it says it said that half of personal wealth by lower income households is accumulated through home ownership.
That's true, man. And in The Color of Money, it talks about how a large part of history, they made it so with like racial contracts and different things where black people couldn't own homes.
Yep.
So that's one of the things that put us further behind the curve, because if you go 100 years, nobody of color can own a home.
Yeah. And then I think it's a lot of people now that's pushing certain narratives that don't really.
Just talked about that yesterday too.
That don't really, like, because you got certain people saying, don't buy a house, only rent. A house is the worst kind of investment. But then you got universities out here that have proven systems, because as I say, I'm looking at my notes, but it says children of homeowners are 59% more likely to become homeowners, 25% more likely to graduate high school, and 116% more likely to graduate from college. And then it also says 10% increase in high school graduates would result in fewer violent crimes each year. And because if you think about it, home ownership, if you own a home, you want the value of that home to continue increasing. So if you got a whole community of people who own homes and not just rent homes, they're going to take a lot more care of their property because they want it to increase.
Don't want no crime.
They don't want no crime. And any crime that comes to the community, they want to push it out. Because they got to live there. They own their property, and they want their home to be an investment and not lose money.
That's true, man.
Because most homes, over the obviously given time and the way things go, but the value of most homes generally go up. Unless you have something 2008 time frame where you've seen a big dip, but there was other stuff that played into that.
But as we learned during the training, who didn't lose money during 2008?
The institutions.
Institutions still made money.
The institutions, they say some institutions made more money during 2008 than they did any other time. So that home ownership is very pinnacle, and I think you don't see it a lot in our community because you don't. As growing up, most of our parents didn't own homes.
That's true.
They rented homes, or we stayed in apartments. Whatever. We didn't own the home, so you're not brought up being learned to own the home. And then when you watch some of these big financial gurus, some of them are telling you, go buy the house, stuff like that. But then there's other ones telling you don't own a home.
But even they say, like, Grant Cardone. I forgot how he put it. Own what you rent and rent what you own. Something like that. Like, basically, he don't own his own home when he live in. He's like, he don't want to pay for stuff that break. He don't want to fix it. But he own a ton of properties he rent out. That makes sense. But I think home ownership is very, like I said, very pinnacle to our community, and as we just read some of the percentages, it increases that amount, because if your kids are brought up in a home that you own, for one, they're brought up in the same home. You don't have to worry about you're not constantly moving, because with rent, obviously rent changes month to, or year to year. So if you own that home, especially if you get a fixed rate income,
you know, you could literally stay in the house for the next 30 years
Yeah.
and you know you're going to pay that exact same amount unless you got that small increase or decrease in taxes
Yep.
or insurance. But other than that, for the most part, you're the same. For rent, you can go from paying $1,000 this year
$1,500,
to
yep.
$1,500 the next year. Then 2 years later, when you sign another rental agreement,
Yeah.
it's $2,300
Yep.
because it moves with the market.
And because all I can say is like they know you gotta have someone to live.
Yep. Because rental is essentially supply and demand.
Exactly, man.
The more houses there are for rent, the lower it's going to be.
And the more narratives they pushing of like the housing market gonna pop, it's gonna be as a bubble.
Yes.
And then one day you look and say, you know what? 1 minute the federal government tell you 20 million people gotta lose their job, and next minute they say, no, we gotta make a soft landing.
Yep. So
So it's like you chasing a narrative that you never know how it's gonna play out.
yeah, because with the Fed's rate, with the interest rates rising,
Yep.
interest rates as high as they are now, these renters know they can max out their earnings
Yep.
because they say, well, people don't want to buy because interest rates are so high
Exactly.
right now. So let's increase our rent by $200.
Yeah.
And to them, it's not that much, but on if you're looking at an ownership side, you're saying, all right, if they're paying me an extra $200 a month, that's an extra $200 in cash flow I got.
Think about it, man. Let's say you got a 100-unit apartment building,
Exactly.
and you raise it $200 on every unit.
Exactly.
You win it.
Yep. So I think so. Like you said, that's one thing we got to. You got to, and obviously you want to buy if you do own a home, you want to buy at the right time.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, and you know what I'm on right now, like, owning a home doesn't have to always be expensive. There are ways out there right now that if you take the time to do research and you look, like, I almost owned the home for $700.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't own the home. They paid their taxes on it, but there are ways you can get a home.
I think it's stuff you got to look into, and like you said, nothing's free. We got to
Yep.
pay. You got to pay for these classes.
Yep.
And because a lot of times I used to be the same way. A lot of these classes I used to see, I used to be like, that's a scam.
Yeah.
That's this.
Going
that's
to
that.
them now.
Because even looking at InvestFest, like years
Yeah.
ago, I would not have spent
Yeah.
the money we spent for InvestFest just to go listen to some
Yeah.
people talk. But then spending the money and actually being in that environment, it completely changes your mindset, and you like,
Yep.
that makes sense. Like now I see why they're doing this.
Yeah.
I see why I'm here. I see why it costs what it costs.
Because I literally was like, I'm gonna get a second job. I want a second job. I kept saying this, right? And I was like, yo, getting I forgot who it was. It might have been Earn Your Leisure talking about like, they don't know anybody who got a second job. They got
money.
They got money.
Yes.
They were like, when you use your brain,
Yep.
you make money.
Yep, because the thing is, like they talked about, there's only if you have a worker's mentality.
Yeah.
And obviously, like you said earlier, that 9 to 5 is pinnacle because for one, it's job security, stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
But you also have to think outside the box of
Yeah.
that because there's only 24 hours in a day.
That's right.
No matter how much you make an hour, there's only 24 hours in a day. So
Correct.
there's only a certain amount you can work and you have to sleep.
Yeah.
So if you switch over to using your mind, thinking of passive income, you make money while you sleep.
right.
You make money while you work.
Yeah.
Whatever. So whether it's the stock market, whether it's Forex, whether
Yep.
it's real estate, whatever, you need a second source to make that money on the side
Yeah.
while you're either sleeping, while you're working your normal 9 to 5. Because like I said, there's only 20. If you make $100 an hour,
Yeah.
you can only work 24 hours that day.
That's right, man.
At max.
So my question is, out of the book you read, what was the key point you took out of it that sets being financially free? Give me 3 points. Set that somebody that's financially free and somebody that's not apart.
So probably like I just said, being financially free is working as a team for one.
Okay.
Like I said, you got more minds together than just one.
Yeah.
And then it's also learning from people who are smarter than you.
Gotcha.
You always want to. I heard a quote one day. It says you want to be able to take knowledge from somebody smarter than you, but you also want to have people on your team that you can help also.
Yeah.
So they say if you're the smartest person on your team, then you need a new team.
Need a new team, man.
Because like even with us, it's probably 3 or 4 of us that are in a group, and we all got the knowledge, but we all are versed in different ways.
Yeah.
Like one of us real good with financial literacy. One of us real good talking about crypto.
Yeah.
The other one good about real estate. It's like you got to have those different. Those different parameters.
And we listen to each other.
Yes.
Though. Like, say for instance, like the one that's good about crypto. Like if somebody say, "Hey, man, I saw this about crypto, this, that," and like, okay, cool, let's go with it.
Exactly.
Like, it's not like nah, we ain't doing that.
Yes.
You know?
And that goes. Go ahead.
Let me speak on that though.
Go ahead.
The one time we did say we weren't gonna do that, it's one of the biggest losses and chances we did not take over. What was $172?
$192.
$192. And if we had invested what we were going to invest, well, millionaires.
We would be millionaires right now because we had it was 3 of us together. We had the money. We said, "Hey, we're going to invest in this," and we all combined. We had all already combined our money. We go to make the investment and then find out it's $192 fee.
And we like, nah.
On the investment we got to pay. And we was like, we ain't paying $192 for that.
And we ran the numbers, calculated how many we would have. We like, nah, we ain't doing it.
To this day, that would have been an $800 investment for all of us. For three people total. So what? That's less than 300 a piece. A little less than 300 a piece. And we would each have well over $9 million to this day. And so that goes back to
look, now we don't think about it no more. We're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, now it's like, because now even with our investments, it's like now we're like, all right, what can we afford to lose?
Yeah.
Because obviously we got our secure investments over here, we got our secure savings account, and we got our bills, whatever. And then over here is like, because my mindset has changed. Like instead of once I got my normal investments, once I got my savings account, bills paid, instead of spending the extra money on a car or shoes, clothes, whatever, I'm taking that money and saying, all right, what can I invest in? Because look, we tried the Amazon thing, and that's another investment that I made and got very, very high potential. And even like you said, with the crypto, with the option stocks, I'm taking this extra money that I have, and instead of going out doing something reckless with it, I'm saying, how can I make this money work for me?
And like we talked about, like it's in the same vein. Just go with me. The coin flip.
Yes.
By nature, I told him yesterday. By nature, I'm a gambler. So instead of gambling on like shooting dice or going to casino all the time, let me gamble on investments.
Yep. Because we had this conversation. It said, obviously, y'all probably seen it. It been going around Facebook. It said, would you take $100,000 right now, no questions asked, tax free, or flip a coin for a chance to win $10 million? And you got it was a lot of people saying I would take the $100,000. Me and him had this conversation yesterday. I said, give me the coin flip. For one, $100,000 is not life changing. $100,000 can help, but it's not life changing. $10 million is life changing. I can't just go. It's not. You can make $100,000 before you can make $10 million. So it's like I would rather take that chance to have a life changing amount than have that $100,000 right now that I'm gonna do whatever I'm gonna do with, and then that's it.
And reason why I said I take the coin flip is we had this conversation yesterday. It's because, well, up until this year, $10 million was the number of financial freedom. Mm-hmm. You had the number.
I think it's 12 million now.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you are financially secure for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and when we say financial freedom, a lot of people take that and put it different ways. To me, financially free is not having to worry about what you're spending your money on, not worrying about how much is in your bank account, and making your money work for you. Because once you get to that point, you could, if you got 10 million, 12 million, you can have that money in in some kind of account and
Yep.
just live off the interest.
And you ain't gotta really work for nobody else. You can
Yes.
do whatever you want to do at that point.
Yes, yeah. So I think that's important. And like you said, financial freedom is the ultimate goal, I think. And
Yep.
like I said, for us to get there, we're gonna have to continue to, for one, trust each other, and we're gonna
Yeah.
have to work together because
Yep.
it can't be done alone.
Yeah, man. And I will say this, man. My 3 things for the wealth gap. One thing that I think we have really, really bad is jealousy.
Yes.
Like, I can't get mad at this man, or I gotta be just as happy for him. Whatever he gets,
Yes.
I gotta be happy. No, like, man, I could do that, or I can do no, like, yo, bro, I'm celebrating your win like I won.
Exactly.
But it's like people can't understand that mentality.
Yep.
And then number 2 is understand that ain't none free. You
Yes.
got to go out here and get it, and they ain't gonna give it to you.
Yep.
And realize life gonna happen, and when it happen, you gotta keep moving, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I think those 3 things, like, the institutions never stop.
Yes. And another thing, I think we need to stop. How do I put it? We need to stop. I'm trying to think of a way to put it. Stop living for, not necessarily living for other people, but when we do something,
Yeah.
do it for ourselves
Yeah.
rather than looking for
To show it.
confirmation from other people.
Like, stop trying to show your money.
Yes.
That's what you want to say.
Essentially, yes.
He can't. You
Yeah.
don't want to say it. I can say it. Stop showing your money.
Yes.
Like, if you can't really afford Balenciagas, I see it all the time, man. Like,
Don't go buy it.
I mean, if you know your rent is due and your rent is $700, don't go buy a $1,200 pair of tennis shoes.
Exactly.
Don't make sense.
And that goes same thing back
Yeah.
to the car. Like, don't go buy a nice
Yep.
car just because it's nice if you can't afford that car.
Yep.
Like, go buy that 2000 Honda
Yep.
or drive that around until you can securely afford something. And,
Exactly.
And affording it does not mean, hey, every month I'm breaking even. Afford it means every month I'm still in the green.
In the green,
Like,
man.
after all my bills,
Yeah.
after I done paid myself, after my investments, everything, I'm still in the green.
Yep.
So if you're either in the red or you're spending all your money on bills and not paying yourself, at that point you need to sit back and think like, what am I doing wrong?
Exactly.
And then I need some help because you can't do it alone. Like
That's right, man.
even myself, I had a financial advisor before I started doing it myself.
Yeah.
I had a financial advisor and I was pretty decent with my money.
Yeah.
But I still it's that accountability thing because I can spend my money. People say, well, I don't want a financial advisor. I can spend my money how I want to spend it. That's 100% true. You can spend your money how you want to spend it.
Yeah.
But financial advisor is somebody or a coach, somebody who holds you accountable.
Yep.
And then they help you reach that next level.
Yeah.
Because just like me and you, if we're holding each other accountable
Yep.
as far as investments or whatever, that's a lot easier than me doing my own thing, you doing your own thing.
Exactly.
Because now I have nobody to hold me accountable.
Yep.
That's like with the Amazon stuff. I hit you up like, hey, you think these will sell on Amazon? You say, hey, let me do some research. You hit me back. Like everything I see, it looked like
Yeah.
it
Yep.
could be good.
Yeah.
So you got more than one mind going into stuff, and that goes back to the whole trust thing.
And then when I say, yo, yours pop off, I'm
Yes.
gonna do the same thing.
Yes, because
You know?
we're always like that. We always try different
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Like you'll try one thing, I'll try one thing. We'll be like, all right, let's see which one works. And then whichever one works is the way we'll go.
Yeah.
But it's not like both of us spending money on the same thing that's not going to work.
Yep.
We want to make sure it's proven first before we both go out and spend our money on
the
it.
person, like one of us can say, like, I did this wrong. Don't do this.
Yes.
You know, and
Yes.
it's not holding back knowledge from each other.
Yes, because I think that's a problem we have. We think that
We got that. I want to get there first.
I want to get there
Yeah.
first. And the bad part about that is there's enough money for everybody.
I'm gonna tell you, like, and this is a good. You brought up Jay-Z's 444 album. Think about Memphis Bleak and Jay-Z.
Yes.
Like Memphis Bleak said, like, I ain't on his level,
Yep.
but I got one pool. He got 7 pools.
Exactly.
I'm comfortable with my one,
Yes.
and we still homeboys.
Exactly. So and that goes back to the whole jealousy thing. He's not jealous.
Not at all, man.
He's not jealous of what he has, and he's like, well, shoot, I'm getting a piece of the pie.
Exactly.
He taught me how to do this. Now it's up to me to to make the right decisions to keep it going.
Yep.
Because you could lead somebody to the water all day, but you can't make them drink.
Yep.
So it's like, first, like you said, having that trust in people and then working together.
Yeah.
And then obviously make sure it's legal.
That's right, man. It's got to be legal because people throw out some wild stuff. You got to be like, nah, man. In my 20s, I might would have jumped on it. He wouldn't have, but I might would have jumped on it. But like now I'm going to be 35 next month. I'm like.
Yeah, it's like if a lot of stuff, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is too good to be true.
Unless somebody really wants to cultivate you and mentor you.
Yes.
They may give you some, like yesterday.
Yes.
Nobody's just gonna give you $100,000 to play with,
Exactly,
and then I get some out of it.
Exactly, and the thing I respect about that is they were straight up. They was like, yeah, they said honestly, he said, because he said straight up, he said, am I just gonna give it to you? He said no. He said I'm making something out of it. He said the better you do is the better I do.
He also said we had to prove we had the knowledge before he would give us $100,000.
Yes. And yeah, he said he said you got to be able to prove that you can do it.
Yeah.
And then like you said, or like I said, he said yes, I'm going to do it. Yes, you're going to make money, but don't think I'm not making money also.
Yeah.
He said I'm going to get my cut.
Yeah.
And the better you do, the more money you make is the more money I make.
Exactly. Yep.
So I'm like, I say you can't be mad at him.
You can't. Yep.
Because he's giving you the knowledge. He's telling you how to make money, and that's one thing. I'll make this last point, but that's another thing we can't say, well, if somebody put you on a system and you make more, and you're doing stuff for them, and they're making more money than you. You can't look at it that way because you're still making more money than you were.
It's an exchange.
Yes, because if you tell me how to do something, and say you give me $20,000, and I'm gonna go invest this money. And you say, all right, I'm going to give you $20,000 to go invest this money. But when you invest this money, I want 50%. And a lot of people be like, no, like I'm making money, but then
you ain't put no money up.
Exactly. On the flip side, it's like you're giving me $20,000 to invest. Everything I make, I got to give you 50%. So if I turn that $20,000 into $200,000, I owe you $100, but I keep $100 for myself.
Yep.
And that's I think that's the part where we fail a lot in our community, because it's like even like we talked about running a business, doing a certain type of business, and it's like, all right, well, we're gonna run the business, we're gonna fund the business, you do the work, we will give you it's 40%. Like we'll give you 40%, we're gonna keep 60%, and they're like, well, I'm doing all the work, why can't I keep 40%, or why do y'all get paid more than I do? And it's like, yes, you are doing the work, but first of all, we're splitting that 60%.
All the liability.
And we're taking all the liability, and it's going back into the business.
Yep.
So essentially, you are coming out good because you're just the worker.
You're the hands and the feet.
That's it.
Yep.
And we're the brains. We're doing all the behind the scenes. We're taking all the liability. We're making the full investment. We're not asking you to invest anything. And then it's like, you got some people like, nah. But it's like, we got to switch from that mentality. Like, if the numbers aren't what I think they're supposed to be, it doesn't necessarily mean somebody is getting over on me.
But in that equation, right? Think about it. They're looking at the 60-40.
Yes.
Now looking at no liability, we got split 60%.
Yes.
And liability, so which means the 60% you see, the 30-30 now goes to 20-20, 15-15.
Yep.
Until we actually build it more.
Exactly. But then you got those same people who work for other people, and they're making nowhere near what they would.
They could be making.
So it's like we got to get out of the mentality of, hey, everybody's just trying to get over on me, and just take a step back, look at the numbers for what they are, and then when you break it down, be like, okay, like that makes sense.
Exactly, man.
Like I completely understand. Like you said with the guy yesterday, he said 100. He said, I'm gonna give you 100,000 to invest, but I'm making my money.
Yeah, exactly.
And you got to show me that you got the knowledge.
Like if he give you $100,000 to invest, and you show you got the knowledge, and then he give you 100,000. If he say, I'm gonna take 80%, you take 20, you can't get mad at that.
Exactly, because he's giving you the money.
Like he said, to play in some of these markets, you gotta have at least 100,000.
Yep, and you might make $1 million. You might make $1 million.
Yep.
And well, if I make $1 million, why do he keep 800,000? I keep 20. He's taking the full risk.
You ain't had $200,000 before you started this.
Exactly. That, and like I said, that's the thing we got to get, and that goes back to teamwork and stuff like that. We gotta work as a team, and we have to work as one.
Yep.
Because if not, that gap is just going to continue to increase, and we're going to continue to fall further and further behind.
Yeah.
And then the generational wealth is going to be non-existent.
Yeah. And this be my last point. Use your job and your employer to gain knowledge.
Yes.
I'm moving up. Moving up is great. But the knowledge you gain in moving up is what you want to actually get.
Yes, because you're being put in rooms with people that you would not normally be in.
Seeing analytics you wouldn't normally see.
Yes,
it's a different world when you have to shift to how they think versus how you think.
Yep, it's completely different. And that's the same way with real estate or financial coaching. Like I go to some of these conferences and it puts you in a different mindset. Like that's how they do it. That's how they made $1 million last year.
Yeah.
Like we're doing the same. We're in the same field. How did they make so much more money than I did? And then you look at it and be like, that's what they did. That's and you don't have to take everything from everybody. You just say that's the one thing right there.
Yep. And self-assess.
Yes. You got to be honest with yourself.
That's what I'm saying. Self-assess.
Yes.
I'll say this, and this has to do with the wealth gap. Certain businesses target certain types of people.
Yes.
And they use it to become great. And then they'll tell you, this is why we chose you, because you're this type of person.
Yep.
And you have to have that same mindset to realize, I gotta pick the right people around me to help me grow what we growing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to be able to do that. You got to be able to, like you said, step back and look at yourself and say, all right. And you got to know when to get out of something.
Exactly, man.
So I think that's very important. And that's where that team comes in.
Exactly.
Because if you got the team, it's like, all right, hey, I know I see you're doing this, but you're losing too much money doing it. Let's take a step back and reassess.
Yeah, and then it's different conversation. But last night when I was like, I don't care about opinion, and then I'm gonna give it to you anyway. You got to be able to be in a safe space to say certain things to be able to move forward.
Yes.
In business.
Yes.
Okay, I might not want your opinion, but I'm gonna still give it to you because we can't have this happen ever again.
Exactly.
In business,
yes.
And then not get mad about it. Hey, look, what we eating?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. We got to be able to take criticism.
If you can take criticism and feedback, you can excel.
Yep. So I think those are the main things. Take criticism and feedback and work as a team.
Work as a team, man.
And then and like you said, nothing is free.
Yep.
If we learn those things, then I think we can, as a culture, we can move forward.
Yeah.
So, but I know this one was a little long.
We ran this today,
and there's still a whole lot more information that we ain't even talked about. Yep.
We coming back to it.
So, like I said, we gave you a lot of information today. As I told y'all, we talked about it. Financial literacy matters. Financial literacy is for one a stepping stone.
That's right.
But I think once we learn financial literacy, it takes us as a people, take you, your family, your team to the next level.
That's right.
So for one, go out and get a financial coach or a financial advisor, and then work as a team. Share your information, share your ideas, put your money together as a team instead of taking all the risk yourself, and you can go to new heights.
That's right. So what we got? How we end it every week?
As we always tell y'all, this is more than a podcast. We handing out crowns.
Hand them out.
Hand them out.
Who the realest in my circle? Who the one who be the snakes? Who gon' fold up under pressure? Who gon' understand the stakes? Who gon' wait to get they food to try to take from off my plate? Who the love? Who gon' understand I'm hurt? Who gon' love me unconditionally and try to make it work? Who gon' party once I'm gone and shed a tear once I'm in dirt? I ain't asking for too much, I'm